Well, good morning. Welcome to video 10, the magic video. This is the video where we're actually going to fire up and start the burn-in process for the dome. That's going to take somewhere between 5 and 7 days. Okay, I'm going to probably be safe and go all week just to be sure. There was so many things that I looked at this point. So many people said once you get your dome built initially, using your high temp mortar, burn it in then, see if you get any cracks. Others said don't matter, just wait till you get the last rendering on before you put any decorative stuff on, burn it in then and check for cracks. And then you had the other third that said just finish the daggum thing and then burn it in slowly. That's the key. Burn it in slowly, because no matter what you do, there will be cracks. So I'd love to, at this point of so much work, so much money, and everything having gone into this thing, part of me is real excited to start this fire, and the other part is scared to death. Is it going to explode? Is it going to fall off the dadgum pedestal? What's it going to do? Well, I plan to burn it in real slow. Today is not the best day, but we're going to do it anyway. I couldn't find anything about doing it on a really cloudy, drizzly day, because it is drizzling. So what I have done is I've got a tarp over the top of the dome itself, making sure it's nowhere near the chimney. I don't want it to start melting or catch fire or something like that. And we're just going to, take our times. I've got a chart here that I've come up with. I'm starting off with a cold reading, like I'll have like the time, the front lower wall, the middle lower wall, the front right wall, the middle right wall, the back, front top, middle top, back top, front floor, middle floor, back floor, and just things like that. I've got a bunch of little things here. At about every 15 to 30 minutes, somewhere within there, I'm going to take a reading and see how the reading has changed temperature-wise and how the temperature is going up. From what I've seen so far, the goal today is to reach somewhere between 125 and 175. Do not try to exceed 175. All right? And a lot of people do it for just 3 hours at a time. I sent out a lot of messages, and most of the responses I said was, hey, the only reason to do it 3 hours is that's how much time you can spare in a day. Well, I'm retired twice, so I'm not worried about it. It'll go until I could probably go to bed tonight. Then I'll close the damper. Remember to open the damper today. I close the damper. I'll put the door back on and save as much residual heat as possible. Get back out tomorrow and try to kick it up just a little bit more. All right. So I am going to track this just for me and for you to let you know how it turned out. One of the other tools that I have is my paddle. All right. I got too much of a close-up here. What am I going to use this for? Obviously not for pizzas today, but for shifting burning wood and things like that. That's what I'll be using to get that done. All right. Let's take the door off and take a look at some of the stuff we got going on inside. And by the way, if you got a good memory, or if you saw the video and you remembered, whatever, I was trying to figure out whether I was going to polyurethane or whether I was going to epoxy the handles on there. Was not happy with the epoxy, how it turned out on the door. I don't expect it to stay on once the door gets really hot. Don't know what's going to happen. What I ended up was I used teak oil. So it's got a beautiful dark luster to it. And worst case, the door don't make it, then what I'll do is I'll take the second one, teak oil that, and see how that goes, okay? Alright, so let's see what we got in here. Not going to stay in there, of course. Got me an infrared 2-dot reader. 2 dots come out. Gives me the temperature right here so that I can track all the temps and everything like that. Handy to have. Got it on Amazon. Just look up infrared reader, 2-dot, and you're good to go. Wasn't that expensive either. Got me some gloves. Alright, some long, they come up to here, gloves, so that when I stick my hand in there, and I'm going to be doing that, it won't be bad, you know. I'm still nursing the finger from the saw and the burn. I don't know if I told you about that burn or not. I was cooking, and I think I did, but I was cooking and I handle slipped off the daggum pot. I didn't pan, and I didn't realize it, and I grabbed the pan that had been in the oven for over an hour at 400 degrees. So yeah, I had a nice little bubble there, not to mention a hot pan dance. Okay, and I'm pretty you can't see in there. I'm gonna pick you up, move you up a little bit, okay? Yeah, Steven Spielberg, you're safe. Alright, here we are going forward. There's my little pile, about 3/4 of the way back, not quite in the middle. My andiron's on weight. Once that fire starts to go down and everything, if I start to use bigger pieces, which you'll see I've got some bigger pieces setting over to the side, they will not catch fire there, but what they'll do is dry out and they'll be ready to go when they do lay on there. And I have some other smaller pieces on the side there as well. Alright, so that's what it's going to look like. All I got to do is fire it up. Let me get these legs back out. And down a little bit. Alright, so I think we're ready to go. All I gotta do is, couldn't only carry so much outside at a time. I'm gonna go inside, I'm gonna get the burner, we're gonna light it up, and sit out here for a while, go make me some coffee, and let's just see how nervous I can be. Alright? Alright, we're back. We got our flame starter. Let's get her done. Get the gas flowing. Let there be fire. Close up of my gorgeous beer. What I'm going to do here in a second is take the camera off, and I'm going to go over to the edge of the deck and show you a sweet score that I made. This is unbelievable. If you remember, I was thinking about putting some granite on the lid up here. I mean lid, you know, on the edge, right, for the platform, so to speak, as you come out. But one, people, holy crap, they wanted so much money. I mean, like $400 was the best deal I could find, and that was just pure scrap. And so needless to say, that went by the wayside. And the more that I thought about it, the weight, I really didn't like the idea of that much weight up here. I didn't need that much weight, and I got the tile. I mean, I only used probably less than half a box of tile, and I paid $56, so I got spare tile, you know, no problem whatsoever. But I want to show you something that I scored yesterday and found out about, and share that with you. But for right now, let's just watch the fire a couple of seconds. Okay, here's a really hot score that I made yesterday. If you remember, I talked about going to a bunch different granite dealers, and they all wanted unbelievable amounts of money just for scraps. Well, we were just driving around one day, passed one, and turned around and went back to see, because we hadn't been to that one in particular. Lo and behold, they had a pile out front, and they called it their scrap pile. And I said, well, how much are the pieces? He said, whatever you can take away, you can have. Let me repeat that again. He said, whatever you can take away, you can have. So I got all this granite for totally free. This granite right here, this little piece, beautifully cut, wonderful square, And what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to make an outside table to where I can put a little flour on it, do my pizzas. This one over here, don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. Have no clue. This one over here, have no clue what I'm going to do with it. And this nice little, relatively small oblong one, I'm going to keep that in the house, and that's when I'm starting to make the dough and I'm rolling it and all that kind of good stuff. That's the one I'll do for that. So look at all this beautiful granite for absolutely zero cost. Yeah, that was sweet. Alright, we're into the burn now. It's first day. It's 10:30. It's I don't want to say extremely difficult, but it's definitely not easy to try and keep this at a low temp. Now again, a low temp was, I was shooting between 135 and 170. The roof has been a pretty consistent 190 to 225. Okay, trying to get the roof at not over 170 means nothing else getting hot, to tell you the truth, because obviously the heat rises. So I have to be real careful and add one stick at a time, not let it get too carried away. And you can see the way that it's burning right now, that I got 2 sticks out of 3 burning, so I'll put another one on there and put it in the middle of the 2 that's burning and just let it go. You can see I still got my wood stacked up on either side, warming it up. As long as the fire is going, I have no problem with the smoke being drawn out. If I let this go, and as soon as the temperature gets low, smoke starts coming out the door. So, okay, just a little update there. Alright, we're coming to the end of the first day. Alright, of the burn-in. You can see where I had my door. It's not super tight since it's on the outside. I've got some of that patina, which is just absolutely fine. I got no problem with that. I think it looks like it's old and professional. I don't know if professional is the word, but it doesn't look bad. And if I have to, I can sand it, no big deal. I find the temperature thing's a little bit interesting. If you take a look at the chimney is 216, 225, whoop, down, 201, 201, 203, 199. Let's get it up on the chimney. There we go. Right above the chimney, and it's right at 200. So I've got to put me a little piece of metal up there that can handle the heat a little bit better. Okay. The brick right out front in the lower section, you can see the 2 dots. Okay. That's 213. Center brick is 253. Over to the side is 216. Keeping it at not above 175. Oh man, that yeah, that was a thought. We're looking at 140 on the 4-inch brick. All right, 169 because we're getting higher up, and the center is 185. And if you come down over here, you're going to see it hasn't even busted 100. All right, so the low sections obviously are going to be the coolest. This is 240 over here. I'm sorry, it's up to 280, 277, 260. Boom, 265. It's settling in at about 264, 265. Over here is probably going to be a little bit hotter. Yep, that's about 304. Now remember, I've been doing this for a little over 6 hours now, so trying to keep the 175 for 6 hours. The last guy I saw do this, he did it only for 3 hours at a time, and he exceeded 300 on his second burn. So I'm in his second burn, still in my first. If you look up here at the ceiling's 453 in the center. And that's where, of course, that's where the heat is hitting. So there's no big deal about that. I think we're cooking okay on that. You look in the back, lower wall is 235, and the very top of the wall, like I said, it's cooking in at 397, 400. Bottom left is 265. How's the floor doing? That's where the pizza's going if you do pizzas for sure. Alright, that's 350 to 360, somewhere in there. Over here, 362 on this side. Looking at 391. We're up to 400 here. I'm getting close to the flames, that's why. See, if I move it just a little bit, she'll drop down. Alright, so that's where we stand. I went through 3 buckets, I think it was, 3 or 4 buckets of that, kindling. Now what I'm doing is I'm putting the larger wood in and just burning it at the end and working my way in. Alright, that's no big deal. So what I'll do, in about an hour or so, I'm going to call it a day in an hour or so. And what I'll do is go up and I'll turn off the flue, shut it down where the flue is not letting as much air out. It's not super tight. I mean, it's not, gonna keep everything in, but I'll close the flue, I'll put the door back on, everything, put it in as far as I can, tight as I can, and then just let it go for the night. I'll come back out and just before going to bed, and I'll tie her down so in case we have any high winds or rain or anything, no big deal. Let me show you that because I think that's interesting on this side. And it's just doing it on this side, I think. It's not showing the radical stuff on the other side. Alright, I'm shooting at the bottom of the wall. Notice that it's 51 degrees, okay? 50, 52, 54, somewhere in there. Alright, now if I go to the very top, sorry about the moving around, I'm trying to balance, not fall off the edge of the deck and get a reading. You'll notice that it's like, whoa, there we go. It's like 8 degrees difference. So from the bottom up is 8 degrees difference on the left side, but it does not do that big a change on the right hand side. I have no idea what the difference is. In fact, I would have thought that the left hand side had more insulation because that's where I had the scaffolding to stand up on. But it was interesting and no signs whatsoever of any damage. There is one space. I'm going to call it a space. I'm not calling it a crack. Right up in there. And the reason I'm not calling it a crack is I believe it's a place that I missed in going in and pointing it. So I'm going to just drive on. It doesn't seem to be expanding. It's not doing anything like that whatsoever. So I'm just going to drive on with the burn-in, and when we're done with the burn-in, we'll do a few pieces. And then once it's totally cooled down and whatever, what I'll do is I'll go in there and I'll point that just to be sure and see what happens next time. Haven't done a real detailed inspection, but I've seen absolutely no evidence of cracks so far. And going along the edge here, alright, that's all looking nice and good, no cracks whatsoever. Kind of like that patina the more I look at it. Alright, whatever. Alright, so what is it? Saturday, first day of the burn-in, toward the end, about an hour more to go. Pick it back up tomorrow. Alright, so here we are, day 2, burn-in. Yesterday I started at about 8:30 and I went to 4 o'clock, alright, on the burn-in. The goal was try to keep it under 200, and that was, yeah, I didn't make that goal. Obviously temperature is all over. The heat is concentrating right on top, so that got as high as 350. Still had no shows of cracks or anything like that. Today I'm going to start it off for about an hour and a half, low temp relatively speaking, and then I'm going to start to build up since it is the second day. I turned down the baffle and last night and put the door on, and when I got it this morning, came in and hit it with the temperature meter, it was as high as 120, 125 degrees in some places. So she'd be retaining some heat, so let's get her lit up, get it started. It'll be a long day, but at least not a dangerous one, I hope. Oh, what did I just do? What? Hey, still in burn-in number 2, but I've discovered something that I don't know. Maybe it was just me. Yeah, it's always just you. Anyway, I started off burn off 1, and I actually started off burn off 2 using the small ones. You know, there's a couple of videos on there where they tell you to cut a piece of cardboard, 8x8, 4x4, I don't know, 100x100, and build around there and sit it in. And that's okay. That's what I did, and that's a good way to start. However, I found keeping a constant size fire using the small stuff was quite difficult. It would really vary. So I've gone to the big stuff, all right? And I just stick it in, like here's the flame. I just stick one in, and as it burns, I move it up. And it gives me a constant size flame, therefore a constant temperature. And it's much more easier to regulate. Works for me. Will it work for you? Give it a shot. All you can do is burn up some wood. Well, you could crack your oven, but don't get it too high, and not your first couple of days for sure. I got in 6 hours of burn-in yesterday, I think it was, and hoping to do the same today. Little stuff, good to start with, hard to maintain. Well, good morning. I say good morning, it's actually 3 minutes to 11. Getting a late start this morning because it was voting day. Well, it's been voting week or whatever, so we went out and voted this morning. Alright, this is the 3rd day of the burn-in. Now, I'm calling it the 3rd day because it's the third physical day, alright? If you've watched a bunch of these videos, and I don't mean just mine, I mean others on burn-in, there's just a couple of dudes that do it in 3-hour increments. And both of them say if you want to do it longer, that's fine. I guess they're 3 hours, which I don't remember them saying why, again, but I might have mentioned this before, but they only did it for 3-hour increments. Well, first day I did it for 6.5 hours. Second day I did it for 7 hours, so technically that would be 1, 2, 3, 4. This is my 5th day, okay? So we'll go 10 o'clock. We'll go to about 4 because it's going to be leftovers for dinner tonight, and no, I ain't got to do no cooking. So doing pretty good. All right, so what do we notice so far? Okay, when I got up this morning and came out, put a temperature gauge on the door last night, shut it down, closed the damper, put the door on. And when I come out this morning, it was, believe it or not, 200 degrees on the bricks inside. Okay, so that's pretty cool. 200. And so the insulation is working rather well, I think. The outside's a bit warmer for a while. It was in the 80s, high 80s, at least on that side. Let's take a look on this side and see. I'll be right back. Alright, same thing, high 80s over here. So the heat is getting through to a certain extent, which is one should expect, but considering yesterday, toward the end, I had the wall at 800 degrees and it was 79 on the outside. So it was 10 times, almost 10, a little over 10 times hotter inside than outside, which you're cooking on the inside, so that's good. The only bad thing that's come up so far is my door. Remember I said I used my epoxy, and I don't know if it's just because of the old epoxy plus the heat involved or whatever, because I always say marine epoxy, and if you don't understand, the reason I say that is marine epoxy and regular epoxy are pretty different. The marine epoxy, in my opinion, is a lot tougher. It can stand the heat because it's going to be on a boat out in the middle of the ocean or something like that. Lots of UV rays, lots of heat. You'd be surprised how hot the deck of a boat can be on things like this. And maybe I just got old. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I got old, but I'm talking about the epoxy. So what am I going to do? Am I going to live with the bubbles? Nah, can't do that. Not going to do that. I have, if you remember, 2 trays. So I'm going to take a second tray, cut it down, put it on, and I'm going to teak the dickens out of it. I'm going to use a lot of teak oil. Plus, I'm going to raise it up. I'm going to put washers in there and raise it up about maybe a full inch. I don't know. But I just want some kind of decorative thing. And teak oil, the handles are looking good. No problem. Okay? No problem with those. So, that's where we stand right now. We are on physical day 3. Okay? So far we've had 13-14 hours of burn-in. We got it going again. We'll get back with you. Hey there, fellow Novice Pizza Oven Builders. We're going to come to the end of our burn-in for today as far as active fires. Alright, it's been, I say 10, 11, 12, 1, 2. It's been close to 5 hours. It's almost 3 o'clock here now, so I'm kicking close to 5 hours. That's 2 days for the guys that have been burning it in for, 3 hours a day. Lesson learned. I have a crack. The good news, well, the bad news is it's a doozy. The good news is it's on an easily repairable place that it's not going to make any difference. It's up here on the chimney. Let me show you. If you look about dead center and you see coming down, that's a crack. All those other things that might look like cracks, they're not. They are unevenness of the mortar mix. And that's one good thing about it is that was pure cast mortar. Alright, now what do I mean by pure cast mortar? Alright, pretty simple. I just took a form, okay, put it around my pipe, and then just filled it with mortar and tapped it and made it nice and tight. No supports, no zippity doo-dah, no nothing. I guess the only thing I need to worry about is that whole thing going to crumble, fall down? If it does, I build another form, put it in there, and put some supports around it. But that's the only crack that I've seen. And as soon as I saw that, I took my tarp off, crawled all over this thing, and still no cracks. I have the regular, the old lady tried to point out, oh, look at that crack. No, that's where that's where I shot the mortar in there and pushed it in, and it either dried too fast. It's not that kind of crack. It's a typical mortar crack where your mortar was too dry or too wet, dried too fast or whatever. And in the back, that's where the sun hits it. That's the only place the sun hits this thing during the day. So it would have a tendency to dry faster than mortar anywhere else, okay? So, my fault. I put a huge log in there. The reason I did it was, I'm thinking I'll put a big log in there, relatively speaking big. Okay, it's not a sequoia, but the point is, it would burn without having me to change it back and forth, and I could work on the new door top, because the door, oh man, that epoxy, it looks like Bubble City. Yeah. You remember that guy's face in Raiders of the Lost Ark when he started to melt and went down? Well, that's about what my my door looks like. So I've got a second one. I'm just teaking it now to teak the dickens out of it, and instead of having it off that much from the metal door, I'm going to have it off probably a good inch and a quarter. Will it last? Will that last? Don't know. But the point is, that's the last try. After that, pure metal door. Don't care. Alright. So, we hit temps up to 900 today, and 800 on the floor. Still no cracks other than up there, and in fact that thing had flames coming up the chimney, so my fault. Okay, don't walk away from your fire. Dedicate yourself to burn in, and don't rush it. And I really wasn't rushing it. I was just trying to keep it simple to where I could put a big enough piece of wood on there and get some work done somewhere else, and then come back and adjust it and check on it. Nah, don't do that. Don't do that, novice. All right. Now, my patina has gone to a kind of a burn, actually, so that's something to think about. If that bugs you, which, how much does it bug me? GAS level, nothing. That don't bug me at all. Okay, but if it bugs you, then you've got to recess that door in somehow. And I've still seen them where they leak a little bit and come around, and there's still some. So I don't know. I'll hit the tuber and see what. I know there's a couple on there how to clean that stuff off, but we'll figure it out. Not worried about it. Even if I don't clean it off, like I said, makes it look like it's been used for a while. But that's where we stand at the end of this physical day. Okay, and let's see, we've got probably about a total of 18 hours in this burn, I think, so far. So I'm just going to keep it low-key. Tomorrow I will keep it low-key, and sometime during the day it'll be pizza time. All right, we're going to clear off the table a little bit, because I got tools. This is you know what I'm not looking forward to? Cleaning this mess up. So clean as you go, like I do in the kitchen. I always clean as I go in the kitchen, so at the end of the time when I'm full and tired, I don't have to do much. Boy, I wish I'd have done that out here. It is a mess out here, and it's going to be a bear to clean it up. So once they clean off some table, lady's going to the store tonight to get some pepperoni, get some cheese, yada yada yada, whatever we're going to put on our pizzas. And we're going to try at the same time some wings. Going to get a little pan, put some wings in there, and see how crispy they come out, and we'll work at it that way. Okay, so what did we learn? Don't put huge pieces of wood in there, because they create huge fires. All right, huge amount of heat. And you're not ready for that quite yet. It ain't. And I still think that's repairable. I'm not worried about it. We'll clean it up. We'll see what happens. Worst case, we leave it as it is. I mean, there's a physical metal pipe going down that thing. So, not too worried about it. Not too worried. We'll see how she goes tomorrow and how the pizzas go out here. Hey, good morning. Well, I'd say morning, but it's not. It's 13:34 for you non-24 hour clockers out there. It's 1 o'clock, 34 minutes after 1 o'clock. Today, this is the last of the burn-in. Well, I've met and actually exceeded my burn-in times that I wanted to do. The only crack that I have come up with so far is the one up there on the chimney. My fault. My fault. I put too big a log on there, and I let it go hog wild. Okay, so it's not going to be hard to fix. I'll dig out a little bit, and so I can go deep in there with some more mortar, and we'll see. All right. So today we're going to burn in for just a couple hours, and we're going to bring it up to temp, and we're going to put some pizzas on there. I did 2 experiments last night. If you've done any research on how to make pizza dough, one of them is called a Biga, one is called a Polish, and there's a couple more other than that. I followed this Biga one, and wasn't too thrilled with it because I did exactly as the recipe said, measured meticulously, and I'm used to measuring things on scales because I make my own shotgun shells, and boy, you better get that right or you got some surprises. So I'm very familiar with measuring, and just in case, I measured not only twice but 3 times to make sure I got the right ingredients. when you start dealing with dough and pastries and things like that, it's not like a steak where you can throw it on there maybe an extra 30 seconds or something. You've got to get it right or else it's not going to work out. Well, measured everything, came out wet as all get out. I mean wet. I even tried adding a little bit more flour to it as I was rolling it around on the marble top. I don't know. So put it away last night just like I was supposed to in the fridge. It expanded, it expanded, it expanded. I got up early this morning, I mean about 5 o'clock or so, and went down and started cutting it up, weighing the dough balls and everything like that. Most of them will tell you make it 250 to 275 grams. Well, that's a good 10-inch pizza. Today we want to experiment and be able to taste a lot of different pizzas, so I made them half that size. So they'll be about tea-plate. We'll make small tea-plate sizes where we can munch on them. Okay, let me try some of that one. Let me try some of that one. And I, not need a forklift to get us off the deck and into the house. So we'll do that and see how that turns out. Also, since I was having trouble with it last night, I went back on the net and I had saved about six recipes for making dough, and I picked one because it had at the end for beginners. I'll admit it, this ain't called Expert Pizza Oven Build, this is called Novice Pizza Oven Build, and making pizza comes with that. Okay, at least it does for me. I mean, maybe you've made pizza and done it in your oven, never worked out. Heck, even buying the frozen one and putting it in the oven, they're still flippy floppy. I want something crispy. Alright, so I tried the second one, and I even cut the recipe in half because I didn't need that much dough, and I'm thinking, what problems can come about for cutting it in half? Well, none. It was perfecto. Okay, so I'm going to try both. I've got them in different style containers so I know which one I'm dealing with, and we'll just take it from there. Alright, that's all that's important, is it comes out alright, it's easy to work, and it tastes good. What else do you need? And I was also doing some other research, and this has gone beyond patina. This has gone to measure, discoloration, and it's just soot. That's all it is. So apparently one of the better ways, there's two ways to get rid of soot, chemically and non-chemically. And the non-chemical way is with a steamer. So I'm going to try that first. I mean, you can find a steamer out there for under $100, all right? After what you put in this, if you ain't going to be willing to buy a $100 steamer, keep it clean, something's wrong. Alright, so I'm going to buy a steamer and see how that works. And then some guy put on there one of the tubes going, it's non-toxic, but that bubble cleaner for bathrooms and stuff like that, you need to put that thing on there, let it bubble up, and that stuff will just fall off. So I'm going to go non-chemical first, and then I'll try the bubble thing later. It doesn't have to be perfectly shiny clean like it was when I first built it. It just needs to be better than that, okay? Yeah, I tell you, it looks like I'm hiding somebody naked behind there or whatever, so. Alright, that's what we're doing. Letting this fire go up. As you can see, she's starting to go down, so now I got to put some logs on there, and we'll start to get it up to a decent temp, and then we'll see how it goes once we put more logs on there and fire it up to get the floor ready for the pizzas. Last time, pizza's coming up. Bye.